All right, hey everyone, Mark here, Mark B Markets. Thanks for joining me for another Greenbridge Investing Market Analysis. And I want to welcome you all. Today I'm going to be covering Bitcoin, as you know, all right? And I'm going to talk about the specific buy signal that we see developing in front of our eyes. I'm glad a number of people have recognized the scenario that I've been talking about for weeks because I've gotten a number of questions about it. So we're going to talk about that in much greater detail. Also, if you're new to the stream and you'd like me to analyze a stock or an altcoin, please put the symbol in the chat now. If it's an altcoin, make sure to put USD or USDT after the symbol so that I get the symbol correct. Okay, other than that, let's get this thing started. So this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Also, if you'd like to share what country or what city you're from, that's always an interesting fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as Northern New Jersey, and that's where I get my strange way of speaking from. All right. So again, thank you all for joining me. Let's say hi to a few people. We got Travel. Hey, good to see you. Elizabeth, thank you for stopping by. Schwartz, of course, my international man of mystery. I could not do these streams unless Schwartz shows up, because if he doesn't show up, then I'm like, maybe we should reconvene for next time because no Schwartz. No, but I'm joking. Schwartz is here. That's cool. Hey, Peter, good to see you. Got James. All right, Mr. Plow. Winterfresh, of course, from Romania. I got my Romanians. All right, cool, because I'm big in Romania. Just like David Hasselhoff was once very big in Germany. I'm like that in Romania, for those who even know who I'm talking about. Anyway, okay, I date myself. Bad jokes all over the place. Starting off with bad jokes. All right, let's get into Bitcoin. Let's first talk about that. Now, today's Thursday. The week is pretty much over. Again, we're still in the middle of holiday mode here. Okay, something to keep in mind. We've been in holiday mode for basically 2 weeks, and that affects everything. Volume is lighter. As you can see, the stock market has been nothing but ridiculous. And that's an effect of low volume, okay? And this type of price action should not be taken seriously. The reason is it will change very quickly once the volume comes back to the market. Now, we have no economic news this week. It's nothing but holiday cheer, holiday nonsense. That's all it is. So I've been encouraging people to just stay out completely. Unless you're an aggressive day trader and you want to try to pull something out of, a NASDAQ stock or something because there's been some movements there. Okay, great. Other than that, you're just wasting your time, in my opinion. Now, with that being said, let's talk about this Bitcoin situation. Now, I've outlined, right, my TradingView article that I wrote a few days ago. I talked about 3 scenarios. The first one, as we could see, stopped out. It was the aggressive one that I said, for people that are not patient, if you want to take the aggressive scenario, right, that I described this situation right here, okay? And what comes along with that aggressive scenario? I tell people you have to babysit because this thing can fail very easily and fake out. I said there was a very high chance of that, and you got the sell signal, the bearish pin bar, and it sold off, okay? If you're not one to adjust, or if you sit there and just freeze and go into hope mode, you get caught in this. Now that would have been stopped out. It had like a 3,000 point stop, I think, when Andrew sent out the aggressive idea, and that should be stopped out. But that's the nature of that type of trade. You're impatient, that's what you face. Okay, now, Bitcoin has since pulled into the second scenario, which is the potential higher low, because the third one is the double bottom, all right, which, we're not there yet. There's the 45K double bottom. So we got the higher low. Okay, fine. Now, not only do we have the higher low, because once price reaches the level, of course, that's not enough. It needs to do more than that. It needs to confirm, okay? So that's this candle right now. We have a green candle. It's an inside bar, and it has not closed yet. But that's the type of price action that I want to see at such a high probability level. That's the market saying that there is buying activity stepping in where it should be stepping in. Okay? Now, this current candle is it's basically an inside bar. It's slightly lower than this low, but that doesn't really mean anything. It's an inside bar. The candle must close. So what I'm going to do for you here is I'm going to lay out the idea. I'm not going to send this out by text or by email. I have too much to do today. I won't be able to do all that. So I'm going to lay out the idea right here, right now, So it's up to you to follow it. And if it fails, it's up to you to make the adjustments because, of course, nothing is guaranteed. This thing can easily fail. So here's the thing. First step is the candle must close. All right, we still have a few hours before it closes. So the candle must close. Once this candle closes, wherever the high of that is, right now that's the current high right there. That is 47.9. Basically, you could say 48 even, okay? It's good to round it a little bit to give it a little more room. Let's say 48,000 even. That's the buy signal. That's the buy price, okay? So if the candle closes and the next candle goes above that high, basically 48,000, that is your buy signal, okay? I'm going to say it again. That is the buy signal. Now, the stop is going to have to go below this low. Now, what is this low? 45,934. So that's about, what? It's about 3,000 or 2,500, 3,000 points. It's probably a good idea to give it room, right? So I would go from 3,500 to 4,000 point stop. So if you're buying this thing at 48, basically the stop goes at 44. Where's 44? 44 is quite low, right? 44 is like around here somewhere. That's a lot of room. That's plenty of room. In fact, you probably don't need that much room. Your stop needs to go somewhere inside that zone, that box that I just put on here, okay? Stop needs to go somewhere inside this zone. So that should be no more than 4,000 points from the 48,000 point price entry. Does that make sense so far? So that's your entry, that's your stop. Now, if you're risking 4,000 points, that means your profit targets are going to be 4,000 points apart. So T1 is going to be, it's a good idea to place it around 1 to 1, especially in this environment where follow through is limited. We don't have a momentum environment right now. So taking something off at 1 to 1, like 1/3 the position, is not a bad idea. All right. So for just the reference, we'll put that. So 52,000 would be the first exit. Okay, that's going to be up in here somewhere. What's this high over here? 51.8. What's this high over here? 52. So your first target is basically going to be there. Okay, right around there. Okay, so that's T1. Now, you add 4,000 points to that, and that puts you at 56, right? That's T2. So that, I mean, just between those two, and if you add another 4,000 points to that, that puts you at what? 60 or something like that. So your average exit at that point basically is 56,000, okay? If that's your midpoint. If you're using 3 profit targets. You don't have to use 3, you can use less, but you're gonna have to figure out, you know, your reward risk. Basically, you could use price levels, but just to keep things simple, I think it just pays to just use the reward risk, because at least if the market does get to those levels, you're getting out from much more than you risked, okay? And that's really the goal. When you're putting on these type of swing trades, that is the goal. This is not a high frequency, high win rate day trade strategy. These are swing trades. As you can see, this setup alone that we're looking at right now, this setup took 3 weeks basically to show up. 3 weeks of sitting around, doing nothing, waiting. Okay, now again, there was this erroneous signal here, which it was an aggressive signal, but aggressive signals there's a very good chance that they can get stopped out because they're not in usually good locations, okay? And that is what happened here. Now, so the ideal setup, the ideal location, the better reward risk, all that stuff is here. And it took 3 weeks to get there. 3 weeks. So for people that don't like to wait, swing trades are probably not a good idea. Now the other thing to say about this is there are probably going to be many altcoins, as we're going to see here in a moment when I start going through people's requests. Many altcoins are going to be in a similar situation because altcoins are just one big Bitcoin trade. For those that don't understand that, it's true. Most altcoins follow Bitcoin, and they're going to basically do whatever Bitcoin does. So we have this buy setup in Bitcoin developing. If it fails, then your altcoin will probably fail too. Now, I don't know if people remember, but about 2 months ago, there were all these videos on YouTube and stuff, and I'm starting to see them pop up again, just not as frequently as there were 2 months ago, about becoming millionaires. Buy this altcoin right now, and you will be a millionaire. Early investors are going to make billions and trillions. No one made any money in December. Okay, the only people that made any money, surprisingly, are what? Exchanges, vendors, and fake gurus who push altcoins on people. That's who made money in December, not traders or investors. Because if we look at most of the altcoins, what they've done over the previous month, they've done nothing. So just go back and think. I remember all the questions I was getting, right? With these coins that were near their highs, or they were pushing resistances, and they were all fluctuating up there, all full of hype and all full of nonsense, and they've done nothing, right? So all those people long, now they're hoping. They're hoping that this is the next move higher, that the altcoins are going to have their move now, and blah, 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 blah. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's all the same trade. So if Bitcoin goes nowhere, most likely your altcoin will go nowhere as well. Realize that the only people that really make money in altcoins are everyone else but the investors and traders. You say, but that's not true. I know some people that made $1 billion in this altcoin. Yeah, sure. There are such things as lottery tickets. Okay. There are also such things as people that win slot machines at casinos. Those are all facts. It's true. You can go to a casino and you can possibly win money in a slot machine, but you will not make consistent money with a slot machine anytime soon. Okay, it's a one-off type of thing. And if you win, what do? You're supposed to take that money and run, because you're not going to win again, right? That's the nature of a slot machine. It's random, and these coins are the same deal. If you believe that there are about 8,000 altcoins out there, if not more, if you believe that most of them are going to be successful in a couple of years, you don't understand how the business works yet. Okay. Also, you have to understand that in this type of game, the game is made basically the game is built on hope. Okay. So people that hope and find success in hoping, that same hoping behavior is going to cost them all of their money when the market is no longer generous. And that's coming. So we've seen a generous market. A lot of people, especially a lot of these phonies, they don't even know what a hard market is like, because we have not seen a hard market in a couple of years. We've only seen a generous market that continues to reward hope. Understand that in this game, there's no skill, all right? So what is skill? A skill is something that you learn so that when you apply this skill, you can count on it to basically perform, right? It can produce something in the future because you have some type of statistical advantage or something that makes the skill, gives it some value, right? There's no skill. Someone with no experience can come into this game tomorrow. Someone knows nothing, no regard for risk, nothing. They've watched some YouTube video and now they believe they can be a millionaire. They go and they buy some coin and it just randomly makes the money. Okay? And you sat there and you waited and you learned all this and you spent years on that and this and that, and you took this other coin and the coin went to zero, or the coin just is nowhere. It's going nowhere. Meanwhile, this newbie shows up and makes some money randomly, right? That's the result of no skill. Anyone can just come in, press the buy button, and they're basically at the same level as you. Okay, so it's important to understand that. Now, the techniques that I use, is it a skill? No, it's not a skill. All I've done is I've basically found I've gotten rid of all the garbage and all the BS and all the fluff that exists in this business, and I've basically boiled it to just enough information that can at least give me a better sense of how to position myself. That's it. Okay. If you speak to a quantitative analyst or researcher, like about what I'm doing, they'll probably be like, that's, it's probably, they would probably just call it random as well. But I've found that by stripping away all the garbage, at least I can position myself in areas where there is some sort of, I like to use the word anecdotal probability that things are more likely to go the way that I anticipate. Okay? But of course, I wait for the market to prove some of these things. I can't just step in blindly. I also respect the random nature of the market. I know that markets are highly random and highly efficient. So I cannot pretend that I know how to beat the market, because I don't. There is it's to have a statistical advantage is a very, very hard thing to do. And even at the professional level, like the algo level where market makers operate on that level, even they know that when you do find an advantage, they know it's temporary, and they know they have to find another one because this one will run out soon, right? So they're always rotating like that. So what chance do you have as a retail trader? For one, don't compete with them, okay? And for two, you have to basically filter your information so that you're getting rid of the bias and you can be as objective as possible without reacting to things, right? And basically understanding it from a psychological level, not a not a logical level. That's the way to put it. Not a logical level where you're just using logic and saying, well, if this, then that. It has to be more of, you have to respect the irrational nature of the market, because I think that's as a retail trader, it's one of the few advantages that we have left that an algo can't exactly exploit, because it's very hard to quantify an emotion. Although they have ways of doing it, it's very hard to do, right? So, but a human mind, we can figure these things out very quickly and very easily. So I think that's one of the few places that we do have an advantage as a retail trader. So we have to recognize that. And it's not like it's a constant thing. As we can see with this Bitcoin situation, everything that I just described really lines up to this Bitcoin situation. It took 3 weeks for this Bitcoin situation to produce the outcome that I've been anticipating. Now here it is. Doesn't guarantee that it's going to work, but at least there's a much better, the location offers a better chance that buying is going to step in, and that there's a better chance of some follow through, at least the test of some of these previous resistance levels, which will justify the risk. That's the best I can do as a retail trader, okay? Swing trader. Day trade, most of us are not even capable of competing on that level, okay? That's why I tell people, don't day trade. All right, so that's my rant on Bitcoin and my analysis and my buy setup, okay? It's taking place right now. So again, I outlined it for you. Hopefully you took some notes. Let me get into the questions here, because I'm going on a rant and I don't even realize it. All right, excuse me. So, so travel, yeah, you got it, right. Now, reach your target area, but at the same time, the selling pressure was really strong. Do you still fancy a swing trade? Right, so I answered that question. I explained that whole thing. Right, so the buy signal is setting up, and it just have to wait for the close, and I explained everything else. Okay, Elizabeth. Oh, it got snow there in Idaho. Okay. Yeah, it hasn't been snowy here yet, which I'm thankful for because I'm not a big fan. Took ET. Okay, so you got in Ethereum early. All right, let's take a look at Ethereum. It happens sometimes, right? Don't feel bad. Let's see what's going on here. So, like I said, though, we're going to see a lot of similarities across the board. So, like with something like Ethereum, of course, it's a typical follower. Now, Ethereum's been doing pretty well, I would say structurally. Now, when I warned you the other day, right? We talked about it the other day. I said, be careful. If Bitcoin flunks, which it flunked, this thing is going to get hammered. And what did I say? Go back to the stream. Well, you don't have to, but others can go back to the stream. I talked about this area here. I talked about it in the stream. So here we are. Okay, we're in the area. And you're getting the inside bar. Basically, the same deal as Bitcoin, right? It's the same story. these coins, the problem with Ethereum and all of them, it's just there's way too much hype in these things. All right, but anyway, I think that's what exaggerates the moves further, and why it's not exactly one-to-one with Bitcoin. So you have the inside bar, right? So it's the same deal. If this candle closes and the candle high is taken out, which is what? 37.69 is the high. So you give a little room. 38 even. Round to 38 even. 38 even. If that's taken out, that's your buy signal. Okay? That basically is the double bottom. Basically, I mean, look at this thing. That's a double bottom. You can even argue it's a triple bottom if you want to count this low over here. Right? So you have that, and it's a support level. It's a broader, higher low. So you have all that going for you. It's a good location. Can't argue with the location. All right, so you have that going for you. So like I said, once this candle closes, it looks like it's going to close decent. Next candle needs to take out that high, and you have your buy signal. So if you're in early, then you just do nothing but let the market do its job at that point, right? And maybe if you're uncomfortable, if the position's making you a little uncomfortable, maybe one thing to consider is if it goes back to break even for you, maybe lighten up a bit at break even, or, it depends on your situation and how you feel. I don't normally like to encourage something like that, lighten up at break even, because really what you should do, the effective behavior is to let the market do its job. If it gets back to break even, right, you want to see the momentum follow through. So what you need to see on this thing is you need to see a test of these highs. Okay, that area right there, which is what? 41.46, 41.50 area. And you need to see follow through. So what you want to see is you want to see a candle that looks like this. And that closes strong through there, right? You want to see something like that. That would be a good time to start taking something off the table, okay, if you haven't. And then you want to see follow through, go from there. Now, what you need to watch out for, like I said before, in these situations is the next sell signal. Right now, we have a buy signal developing, so there's nothing to worry about. But if a sell signal develops, then you need to recognize it and you need to adjust. I can't sit here and hold your hand. So a sell signal is a bearish pin bar, low is taken out, that's a sell signal. That is not something that you should see over the next few days if bullish momentum is going to follow through. Now, again, we're in holiday mode, so follow through may be limited. Right? And that's part of the part where you have to babysit, monitor this thing, watch this thing, and make sure that that sell signal is not appearing. Sometimes the sell signal may appear, and then the next candle may just reverse it, right? And you're on your way higher. Those are tricky situations, and sometimes you have to give them a little room to breathe. Sometimes, depending on how big your position is, sometimes it may be a good idea to unload some if the sell signal appears, because the whole idea is to reduce the risk if the market is not behaving as it should. Momentum is something that continues, okay? I mean, just look at this bullish move back here. If we look back here a bit, right, generally you have red bars. You have red bars in this thing, but the red bars don't push any lows, if you notice, right? They don't push any significant lows. And the green candles are pretty swift, right? They always take out those resistances relatively quickly. You don't have to wait very long, right? Maybe 2 days, look, this thing's back higher. A couple of days of red, oh, it's getting red, and then it's back to the highs again, right? And then when it gets hammered, it starts taking out supports. That's when things start to change, okay? And that's not what a strong market should do. As we could see, Ethereum since then has been just consolidating in this broad higher low consolidation formation, which, Bitcoin's been doing a similar thing. All right, so I hope that answers your question about Ethereum. That was a very long answer. All right, okay, so let's move along. Hey, Schwartz, okay, again, good to see you. Peter. All right, Elon Musk probably watched the stream because, yeah, Elon Musk called me the other day and he was like, hello, Mark, can you give me some advice on what I should do with my stock? And I said, yeah, Elon, you should probably sell some because, being the richest man in the world, it's probably a good idea to take some profits somewhere along the way because, while the herd is there willing to take it off your hands, yeah, I'd sell $1 billion or $2 billion. Why not? Just, don't take this as an investment event. No problem. I won't have my lawyers sue you or anything. I think I'll just sell $1 billion. Okay, good. And I don't appreciate the impressions either. Don't quit your day job. I don't have a day job. Exactly. Here's my Seinfeld joke. Anyway, all right. So yeah, I know it's funny. But look, a guy like that selling shares, there could be a million reasons, right? Personal reasons. He's got bills to pay. Just wants to lock in some profits. We don't know, right? Also, a guy like him has access to all the information in the world, and although he doesn't seem to play the political game, at least not out in front of everyone's face like other people do, I'm sure he has some connections on the inside. And, I wouldn't be surprised if he knows Federal Reserve moves before everyone else. It's just the nature. That's how things work, right? So, as far as this market party continuing, I honestly think the party's over. People say, how could you think that? The S&P just made all new time highs and blah, 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 blah. It's because these are just the lingering effects of the the over-stimulus that we've had over the previous year. Once the Fed starts getting in gear, if they're going to be responsible, a lot of hot air is going to come out. I mean, I just think that's something we can't avoid. Now, so can he be selling for that reason? I don't know. You can't place any bets on anything like that. So, I just know one thing, based on the general location, because I don't go by those type of long-term, opinions on what I think the Fed is going to do. Just general location, I think these are horrible levels to be invested in anything, right? The S&P, like anything like that. I just think these are just ridiculously high levels that have a lot of correction potential. These are not wholesale prices. These are not attractive places to be investing at all. We haven't seen attractive levels for investing in a very long time. They only come around, attractive levels for such a thing only come around maybe every couple of years maybe for I'm talking about real dramatic lows, okay? So does that mean you should never invest when the market's going higher? No, it just means that you should be investing very carefully and very small, understanding your location, because there's going to be plenty of opportunity for better prices, in my opinion. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Thanks for sharing, though. Certainly something to keep an eye on when someone like that sells some stock. Okay. Elijah, hey, good to see you. Mr. Plow, Bitcoin, jumped ahead. Am I in hope mode now? No, Mr. Plow, I don't know what price you got Bitcoin at, but you should be okay as long as Bitcoin behaves as I described earlier. What you all want to watch out for, like I said, is the sell signal. Or what if this inside bar, right? We have this inside bar here on Ethereum, same deal on Bitcoin. What if the next candle opens, right? Turns it into a buy signal, and then the candle closes red, and the candle goes right to the low of this candle, right? What if the next candle, instead of being a bullish candle, what if it's a bearish candle, right? We get something like this. That is not what you want to see, okay? You should not see a bearish candle that looks like this. So if you see something like that now and you stay in it, now you're in hope mode, because that's the market telling us that there is no buying. It's all fake, okay? And all the people that just tapped in are going to be piling out at the same time. That's usually, that type of activity is usually what breaks the supports, okay? When everyone's piling out at the same time. So, and that's where you could get stuck in a dramatic move. So that's where I would be making the adjustments, taking the small loss, getting out or whatever. But if you like hope, like most people do, well, then I don't know what to tell you there. But that's what I'd be watching out for as far as failure of the signal. Okay? Now keep in mind, the buy signal is not official yet. We just have a potential setup. But it is possible that the buy signal can develop and fail right away. It's possible. And you need to be prepared for that. Okay? That's what makes a trader, by the way. Like I said, being a trader is really about managing risk and cutting risk when things aren't going the way they should, and letting a winner run when the winner wants to run. That's really what a trader is being about. That's like what makes a trader good. Not, oh, I can read charts really well. Who cares, right? Anyone can read a chart. It's how you manage your risk. Okay. Marion, hey, okay. Oh, no. Marion is the Russian porn, what do you call it? Spammer. Okay, let me tell you something, Marion, if that's a spam, if that's a spam link right there, because I don't know what that is. But if it is, I'm going to give you a word of advice for spamming, because obviously you must be a novice spammer if you're spamming my group here. There are fake gurus out there, just in case you don't know. There are dozens and dozens of fake gurus on YouTube that have huge followings. And when they do a live stream, they have about 5,000 people show up. That's the type of stream that you want to spam as a spammer, okay? Not my stream. I have only like 30 people, not even. And not only that, but the people that come to my stream are highly informed. So the chances of them clicking on your Russian porn link are extremely low. So, you know, again, probabilities, man. These novice, I shouldn't have to teach people how to spam. Go spam someone else. Now, I'm going to delete your little thing here because that looks like the Russian spam link. All right, go spam someone else. All right. Hey, Mr. Bamian. Okay, David, you called it 3 days ago. Nice. Oh, yeah, cool. Thanks. I just finished yelling at my Russian spammer there. What if that wasn't spam? What if that was like a stock and I just yelled at the guy? All right, Mr. Banian, good to be with you. Okay, do you think XAG going to hold range? And how do you see... Oh, good question, Mr. Banian. So he wants to see silver and he wants to see the dollar. All right, no one asks me about those. Let's take a look. So let's first start with the dollar. Now, keep in mind, I've been monitoring the dollar throughout the week here. As you can see here, the dollar index has been going nowhere, right? Notice we're in this range low area right here, and it's going nowhere. It gives us a little bearish outside bar, and then there's no follow through. That tells me one thing. The dollar index is not weak. The dollar index is still strong. That's a broad, higher low and part of a broader bullish trend, right? Which is in line with a hawkish Fed. Now, so if dollar is going to remain strong, that means gold and silver are going to have a hard time. Let's take a look at the bonds, because the bonds can also give us a clue as to how the dollar is going to behave. Bonds are very slow. So here's the bonds, right? And we can take a look at the weekly bonds. I look at this chart whenever people ask me about the dollar. Now look at this. Look at the situation on the bonds. Right? For weeks, the bonds have gone nowhere. Look at this. They've been stuck in this little range, and they refuse to break that support. You see that on the chart there? They refuse to break that support. So that support right there is a key level for me. If the support is broken and cleared and price stays below that, that means we are looking at the rising rates, because lower bond prices mean higher yields, which means rising rates and stronger dollar. So at this moment, the bonds don't look bullish, okay? So I suspect that the bonds are going to break soon, and maybe we'll see it next month. But that's what you have to keep an eye out for, right? Now, when those bonds break, you'll probably see a nice dramatic move higher in the dollar, and gold will suffer. Same with silver. So let's take a look at XAG, USD, silver. Now, silver has been acting, look, a little strange. Higher low, but if we look at a weekly chart on silver, right, silver's not really going anywhere, is it? It goes to the range low. Someone had asked me about this. Maybe it was you. Someone had asked me about this a little while back. And I've talked about the range low on silver, right? Around 23. What is this low here? 21. I'm sorry, 21 and a half. And it was just there, a couple of weeks ago? So that's your range low. I mean, look how far it dates back. Look at this. Look how far that dates back, that level. So if you want to pick up silver, physical silver, that's probably the price to do it. But again, look at the range on silver, right? Look at that consolidation on silver. Gold also has a similar situation. So if you want to accumulate these things, you probably best do it at the range lows. That would be around 21 in silver, or maybe the low 20s. Right now, you're sort of in the middle, coming up sort of into the middle of the range. It's 50-50 here, right? Maybe it goes a little higher, but you're range bound. If anything, you don't want to be buying silver on breakouts, okay? Up in this area, that's when everyone starts getting excited, and you start to see all the fancy experts come out, $24, $25, right? There's certain channels that focus on this stuff, and the experts in gold and silver, and all the conspiracy theories. That's when you want to avoid these things completely, and if anything, sell, right? Lock in some profits if you have any on these things, because until the dollar changes its tune, I have no faith in these metals, because the dollar outweighs them, okay? And if the dollar is going to improve, which it looks like it's still in a position to do, then there's nothing but, trouble for these things. There's nothing but pressure. These things will do well, right, when the dollar goes into inflationary mode. And the Fed is trying to come out of that, right? So if gold hasn't reached 5,000 by now in all of this transitory inflation talk, then I don't think we're going to 5,000 anytime soon, right? And if gold can't do it, forget silver. I don't care how many conspiracy theories there are about. You know how long I've been hearing about conspiracy theories in silver? The silver short, and the banks are short tons of silver, and silver's going to squeeze, and silver's going to be at $200 an ounce very soon, blah, blah, blah. Do you know how many times I've heard that story? So don't go for any of that, please. They're just stories, okay? Anyway. All right, so I hope that helps. Thanks for asking about those two markets. Okay, David, all right, so I got that one, travel, okay. Farhat, hey, no problem. Cardano, let's take a look. Cardano, Farhat knows I like to rant about Cardano. The only reason why I pick on Cardano is because of the magnitude of hype that I've come across. And so many people just have blind faith in this thing, okay, and I just think it's sad because it's not much more than it's a garbage coin, in my opinion. How can you call it that? Because it is. It doesn't really solve any real world problems. I mean, it's just a lot of talk. That's all it is. Now, let's go to the weekly. This thing it came off of this support. We talked about it. Now, this is a good example. This current candle on the weekly, it's exactly what you don't want to see after going long. So if you took the long off of the support and you see a candle that looks like this, now again, we still have a couple of days before it closes, but if this candle closes like this and the next candle takes out this low, that would be a weekly sell signal. That's not what you want to see. That's not bullish momentum. Now, here's the daily chart, okay? And so let's look at it from this perspective. You had the initial move, right? The initial push, tried. Now we're testing. It's pulling back for the higher low. It's like Bitcoin, all right? Same deal. Pretty much the same deal. It's the higher low. Okay, fine. We'll give it that. The weekly is showing not such a good story, but this is something we can't see on the weekly. Okay, fine. I'll give it that. Plus, Bitcoin is doing the same thing. Okay, fine, right? This thing is a follower. It's not a leader. So at the moment, right, you have the potential higher low. This is not exactly an inside bar, but it'll serve the same purpose. Next candle needs to take out the high of this candle after this candle is closed. If you get such a formation, that's the buy signal. That would be a higher low buy signal. Like I said, if it goes off in Bitcoin, it's probably going to go off in most of these coins. Your stop would be below the low of this candle, 129. So basically, you want to give it a little extra room, 128 maybe, something like that. And then, it's off to the races after that. All right, can this thing follow through or not? Your first resistance areas are going to be up in here where resistance has appeared previously. That's where you're going to be measuring your reward risk from, this area. If it fails there, then you have a double top. Okay, so that's what you want to watch out for. Those are the warning signs if you take that long. Again, the long is just basically another Bitcoin trade. That's all it is. All right. There's a lot of hype in Cardano. So they get the hype machine going, maybe you get a little bit more of an exaggerated move. But understand something. If these buy signals fail, which is always a possibility, you have to realize what that also means. It means a lot of people got long, and it means they're stuck. Okay? So when a lot of people are long and they're stuck and they all start getting out at the same time, supports usually break next. So my suggestion is, don't sit around if you see that happen. Do something. Make an adjustment. Maybe unload part of the position, take a small loss, tighten your stop, do something, unless you like large losses, okay? Because you have to keep in mind that we cannot predict these things. All we can do is recognize when a certain situation is developing and then when it changes. That's all we can do, and adjust our risk in relation to that. People think that this is about predictions, but it's not. No one can predict where these markets are going. Okay, so that's my answer on Cardano. Let's see. Hey, HS, good to see you. What are the early signs to the lower high? Okay, so I just explained all that, Farhat. All right, so thanks for asking. Hey, Kim, what happened if today the candle go too far? If the green candle go too far? Well, too far, let's go back to, if you're referring to Bitcoin, right? Let's go back to Bitcoin here real quick. If you're referring to the Bitcoin, the green candle going too far, well, there's no too far. I mean, once it takes out, it's got to close. So whatever that length is, that's the length. I mean, too far, I guess, would be like if it closed up here. Then be like, man, that's kind of a wide candle. It's still a buy signal, but it becomes a very risky buy signal because now you have all of this risk in it, and it can give it back, right? Although that would be a lot of momentum. So one thing that I like to use to help with that, because sometimes you get a ridiculous candle that just goes, and by the time it closes, it's like up here, and you're like, man, why did I wait till this? Look at where this thing closed. It's ridiculous. Well, what you can do is you can look at the previous candle, right? The previous candle high, which is this red candle. See the red candle? And once it takes out that high, I mean, you can view that and you can consider that a more aggressive buy signal. You can do that. But we're not in one of those situations where this is an out of control candle, right? This thing is not out of control. So I think it's worth waiting. It's only a few hours. But let's say the other candle was larger. Let's say this green candle here was larger. Okay, the red candle, I'm sorry. Let's say the red candle, the previous red candle, was a larger candle. Let's say it was all the way up to there. And this current candle starts to get out of hand. Okay, and it starts to do this. You want to use that as a buy signal? You can, right? Like a situation like that. It's aggressive, and you're going to have to take more risk, but you're playing the momentum, right? You're basically going with the momentum, and there's some sort of proof at that point that there's bullish momentum. That's the answer to if the candle gets too long, too fast. I don't like those situations, to be honest, because it does require some reactive adjusting, and it's not really my style. I don't like it. I like to have things lined up the way I expect them, and then the market has to like fit the rules the way it needs to fit, and I like to be able to place my orders in advance. If I have to react and adjust, I know that that's problematic, okay? So I don't like doing it. Sometimes there are occasions where it calls for that, but you want to keep that minimized because most of the time it's not a good thing to do. All right, so I hope that answers your question. Farhat, do you believe we will see all-time high if Bitcoin confirms the lower? An all-time high? No. An all-time high in Bitcoin, for example? No, no way. Not anytime soon. All-time high would be 70K, okay? I know there's a lot of talk. I saw a video title saying that Bitcoin is now going to work its way to over 200,000 on the next leg. I don't know where they come up with this. You have to understand that, and I watched a video about this. In order to have successful YouTube videos, you have to come out with over-exaggerated titles because that's what gets people to click. And in order for the YouTube algorithm to show your video to others, you need to have a lot of views, right? So people need to click, and people need to stay on your video. So they need to watch the whole thing, right? So if you have a 10-minute video, people need to watch all 10 minutes, right? And the YouTube algorithm will reward that producer, and then they will show up in the suggested search, right? So YouTube incentivizes ridiculously over-exaggerated titles in anything, not just altcoins. It could be in sneakers, right? The best pair of sneakers you'll ever buy, and here's why, blah, 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 blah. And there's gold inside the sneakers, okay? Like something ridiculously exaggerated. Oh, gold sneakers. Okay, I'm going to click on that, right? That's YouTube producers are incentivized to produce ridiculously over-exaggerated thumbnails and titles. So that fits perfectly in an emotional space like altcoins, where everyone is full of hope. Okay? So if I come out and say Bitcoin's going to 300,000 by tomorrow, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot more clicks than I would otherwise if I just put a title, Bitcoin price action analysis and setups, right now. No one cares. Okay? I mean, I need to improve my title game and all that kind of stuff, and I will be, but I'm not going to be putting those ridiculous titles unless I'm making fun of someone. Okay. So anyway, good question, Farhat. Let's see. Kim, okay, so I answered that question. Janet Jr., hey, good to see you. I worry about potential rate hikes, 3 hikes next year. If the broad Bitcoin structure is as... Okay, yeah, that's a good question, Janet, about the rate hikes, because people don't understand the magnitude of interest rates. And risky assets... Bitcoin is a risky asset. It is not a conservative investment grade asset by any means. Neither are the altcoins. The altcoins are worse. The altcoins are like penny stocks. They're worthless. They're not real assets, right? So money will be forced to go to value, real value, and high quality stocks like Apple and Walmart and stocks that dominate their businesses and pay dividends and things like that. Okay, that's probably where the quality money is going to go. And these highly speculative assets are probably, in my opinion, are going to be punished. Right? That's just the nature of a rising rate environment. You see, in a free money environment or an easy money environment, in a stimulus environment, everyone has money to throw around. So speculative assets become attractive. It becomes a big casino because, hey, I got all kinds of money. Who cares if I lose it, right? And that feeds into itself. That's the nature of free money or stimulus. So now the Fed intends to take the money out of the system, because if they don't, then we can likely have hyperinflation, something this country has never seen. And it's the Fed's responsibility to avoid that. Now, so far, the actions that they've taken, again, I don't pretend to understand how the Federal Reserve makes their decisions or how they work. I suspect that a lot of it's politically motivated, but I don't know, okay? I don't work there. I don't know anyone else. I don't have any inside information on the Fed. So I don't understand how they make their decisions, okay? But the Federal Reserve was created to basically regulate the economy, right? That is their job. And they have a number of ways that they can do that. One of the ways is interest rates, okay? And the cost of money and the money supply. Now, to protect the economy from all the adverse stuff that we've seen recently, the Fed pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped. And it seems like they've overdone it, right? And everyone's rich. Everyone has all kinds of money, right? And blah, blah, blah. Well, at least the rich people are richer, if anything. And there's all this money floating around and all this speculative bubbles, right? We saw with the altcoins. NFTs. People think that there's value in an NFT. An NFT is a graphic. This has no intrinsic value. Yeah, rarity, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can understand if you're an artist and you're a highly celebrated artist and you've made an NFT and people want to pay $5,000 for it because it's the only one. Okay, I get that. But to make random NFTs and people to trade them like they're have any kind of value is complete nonsense. That's a sign of too much money floating around. And who throws around $40,000 to buy a graphic? Only mindless people with a lot of money, okay, who came into that money in some mindless way. Who else throws around money like that, right? I could see if you were throwing around money in something that actually had value, but these are just worthless graphics. Okay, so that I know it's very hard for me to understand. It is what it is, and there's whole markets that have developed around that, marketplaces. Okay, I get it, but that's a sign of too many people with a lot of easy money. Okay, and to answer your question, as far as where do speculative assets go in a rising rate environment, they go lower. That's typically where they go. So in the stock market, you will see the small caps get hammered, and anything that's highly speculative, like growth-driven type of stocks, they're likely to get hammered. So want to avoid those, that's for sure. If any, I mean, just investing in general right now, these are horrible prices on the S&P to invest in anything. Okay, the S&P needs to go to more realistic prices or wholesale prices. We have not seen those in probably over a year or whatever, since the stimulus has been as heavy as it is. Okay, we haven't seen a rising rate environment, so who knows how dramatic it can get. That's all I can say. All right, so I hope that answers your question. Litecoin, coffee lover wants to see Litecoin. All right, let's take a look. Litecoin. Well, look, Litecoin is just another Bitcoin copy, as we know. It's going to pretty much follow Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the bigger picture real quick, right? 1 week. It's fooling around near a support level. Now, I'll tell you what I don't like about Litecoin. You have this level here. It's been there for a few weeks, right? But look at the general structure on this Litecoin chart. It's after it made these highs, and it tried to make this higher high back here a few weeks earlier, okay? This has not made all-time highs, and it's sitting at the support. So this, I would consider this movement right here a failed high. People are stuck because they thought Litecoin was gonna, whatever, they believed some hype or something. Now they're stuck in this thing. And here you are testing support. So if you're going to buy Litecoin, this is probably the better place to do it, all right, as far as swing trades go. You have the location, right, like Bitcoin. You have the test of low. But again, if these things fail, then like if this support breaks right here on Litecoin, what is that level? 142. You could round that to 140. 140 breaks, I would stay away from these things, okay? Because in theory, if Bitcoin holds its support, right, these things have no business breaking those supports. So while this thing is not, it has the initial move, you have the possible high or low, so you have the potential structure change. It's potential, right? If this high or low can follow through, which is what you want to see, the same story in Bitcoin, then the next structure should at least be bullish, meaning higher high should follow, right? Followed by a higher low. That's what you want to see. And you want to see that type of structure unfold until you get at least into this area here, because that's where you're going to have some resistance up in that area there, which is what? What price is that? $200 area, right? Low 200s, something like that. So that's a good area to consider for profit targets if the leg can follow through. If the leg fails, okay, like it gets up to this area here and you're like, all right, and then it fails and it breaks that support, then the party's over. I would not touch this thing if that level is taken out. I'd want to see, for one, Bitcoin's really going to have to tell us a good story for this thing to, you know, find those supports, because again, there's a lot of people caught in these things, and when the party is really over and the money starts to come out, I think a lot of these things are going to go to levels that people are just not expecting. All right, people have too much hope in a space that is completely speculative, right? These are like penny stocks. Most of them are like penny stocks. And the more conservative ones would be like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe Litecoin, because it's like a third tier and it's recognized and this and that. But, you know, you're playing with penny stocks. Just keep that in mind. There are some people out there that all they do is they're fully invested in these things, like these are the future. Okay, you missed that party. Okay, that party's pretty much over. If you think back to many of these altcoins during the first round of nonsense, right? When Bitcoin rallied to 17 or 19 or 20,000 back in 2017, 2018, right? That round right there, there was some names back then: IOTA, Neo, OMG, a few other ones that were XLM. There were some that don't even exist anymore. Okay, that were popular. XRP. None of these coins have, in the second round of money flow or alt season, most of those coins, while they made some progress, they have not done anything spectacular at all. All they're doing is wasting people's time, if you think about it. So you would think like they were around. IOTA was around first. It was around, and they solved the scaling problem and Internet of Things, and it's going to be huge, and the white paper, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just a worthless coin. Okay? I mean, Wabi. These were coins that were like, the big deal. Like, look at these things. I mean, look at this. So what's this thing right now at? 45, what is that? 145? But look at this thing. Okay? So in recent time, it's made some progress, but look where it was back in 2018, right? I mean, look at that. Look where it was. That's what I'm talking about. You can argue it's made some progress, right? It's not completely worthless, but it's nowhere near here. How many people bought up there thinking that, oh, this thing is going to make me a millionaire and blah, blah, blah. And it suffered for a long time. Recently tried to get some traction. But my point is, this is not good. This is not good relative to the progress that Bitcoin has made in that same period of time. All right, does that make sense? Okay, so before people start yelling at me, well, IOTA is pretty good. I own some. All right, so I hope that answers your question. It's not answered for, okay, no problem. Luna, let's take a look at Luna. So Luna is one of those coins, right? Luna is like, it's a good looking coin until you buy the top of it. So this chart, we've looked at this chart a few times, right? Of course, you all know that I warn people. If you go back and watch my videos, I tell people not to buy at these highs. All right, I tell people not to buy. Here's where I tell people to stop buying, right here. Right, when it breaks out like that, stop buying it. Stop buying it. You should be selling it. And you don't know how far this thing's going to go. So after that breakout, what is that breakout? 76, 72? The thing went to 103. So a good 25, little over 25 points, right? Okay, before it turned. And now it's at 83. So if you stayed in there thinking that this is going to keep going, you give back the money that you made in the breakout anyway. So what's the point? Unless you were savvy enough to get out, near those highs because your reward risk ratio told you to do so. Anyway, so where are we now? That's my lesson with these breakouts and why you need to really stay on top of them. So your old resistance is here, 76. What is that price? 78.30. So you want to round that to 78.50. That's this area here. Right now you're at 83.5. It's trying to find some support, but really your support is a little bit lower. Right? It's around those mid 70s, higher 70s. So if you want to wait for something like that, okay. Otherwise, if you wait for a green candle, you don't even have a green candle here yet. The current candle has tried, right? The current candle, as we can see, tried to be a green candle earlier. You can see that, but it gave it back. So that's not good. You don't want to see that. What you want to wait for at this point is a reversal candle. So that would come in the form of a pin bar, right? Maybe a bullish pin bar off of that level. Maybe a bullish inside bar, followed by a break of the high of the inside bar. Once you get that, that's your buy signal. And your risk can be defined by the bottom of that situation, right? Whatever the bottom is of that candle. And then from there, you have to hope that this thing goes back and tests these highs. Okay, and you have to be watching for any failure, any lower high that may develop along the way. That's it, right? And if it breaks out further, hey, you're in it from a good price and you see how much further the thing can pay you. Again, when people ask about profit targets, I tell people, like I explained in my previous session, use the reward risk ratio to help you with profit targets. So if you're in something and you've got twice than what you've risked, that's a good time to take something off the table. If you have a hard time taking money because you think you're going to miss out on more, then you suffer from greed and you will lose everything anyway. What people don't realize is people that make money on hope they're going to lose everything when the market stops with the hope mode, and it will come. Okay, and it comes out of nowhere. It's not like a chart's going to tell us that it's coming. It's just we get some kind of pronounced sell-off, right? We get bearish momentum for some pronounced, some period of time that's unpredictable, and it just keeps going lower and lower and lower until it either pushes you out because you can't take the pain anymore. You get margined out because you go beyond your margin requirements because you used margin to take the position, or you get scared out for some other reason, okay, and you bang it out at the bottom. That's typically what happens when you hope your way. And you're basically, your decisions are driven by emotional reactions. That's why I tell people, if you made your money hoping, you're going to give it back the same way. All right. That's why it's very important to respect the risk and understand the type of trade you're taking. A lot of people, they don't even know what type of trade they're in. They just get into something and I think it's a swing trade. Well, what do you mean you think? Well, I'm just going to hold it until until I make some money with it. So it's an investment. Well, no, maybe. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Well, then why are you in it? Okay, so you should know what type of trade you're in before you're in it. Everything that I talk about on my streams are swing trades, basically. Okay, I don't really talk a whole lot about investing unless people ask me about inventory and stuff like that, but most of the ideas here are really ideal for a swing trade, meaning you take a position, it's good for maybe a few weeks or something like that. You're trying to capture a movement in the market that takes place over the short term. You beat your risk and you're done, right? That's a swing trade. So, can you get rich quickly with swing trades? No. Can you get rich quickly with altcoins? Yeah. If you invent an altcoin, you can get rich quickly. Or if you become a marketer of an altcoin, right, you get a big following and you push altcoins on people, you can become rich with an altcoin by pushing them on other people, because the altcoins will pay you a lot of money for you to push on other people. You understand? Those are the ways to get rich with altcoins, not investing in them. Okay. AVAX, okay, and Solana. Sure, I have some time. I have a little time. Let's do it. So AVAX. I haven't heard from this one in a while. How's this one been doing? AVAX. All right. I remember when this one was all the hype. AVAX. Oh, AVAX. Yeah, AVAX. Right. That was back here, as you can see. All right. And you see what I mean? Why I warn people, stay away from highs, because this is usually what's around the corner. Usually. So here we are again. Right. This thing failed somewhere up in here. Okay. It's pulled back into the midpoint of this structure right here. Right, see that? So what does this mean on the bigger picture? Let's take a look. Right, the bigger picture trend is always something you should consider. The bigger picture trend is clearly bullish, right? Higher high all the way up here. But now we have a lower high that's established. And this candle, the current weekly candle, has taken out the previous week's low. So that's not exactly good. That's not exactly bullish, right? So as far as longs go, well, let's see where the supports are. You're looking for supports around here, right around there. You have that area right there. It's an old resistance from, all right, you have this here too. So you have this zone. This is where your high probability support is, not where it is right now. Right now you have a bullish pin bar developing. See that bullish pin bar? Let's make that nice and big so you can see it. So there's a bullish pin bar developing right here, and this is going to suck some people in. High or low, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, but it's not the best location. You can argue that there is some support here. Yes, you can make that argument. It's been proven here, right? You had some support, broke, and then it became supportive again here, right? And it's testing it again. All right, we'll consider that an aggressive support. But even with that, the current candle is not confirming. So there's no reason to do anything right now in AVAX. If you want to wait for a higher probability location, wait for this zone right here. And if price can test it, and then you get a bullish signal, some type of bullish reversal, that would probably be much more worthwhile in terms of taking risk. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, so let me know if that makes sense for you there. And Solana, let's take a look. People like Solana. It's a very popular coin. Let's see. Is that the right symbol? Yeah. So another one that was like overly overdone, right? Solana is going to answer all of our problems, and blah blah blah. It's very similar to that AVAX situation, right? Lower high on the weekly, hasn't taken out the weekly low yet, but this candle is not exactly the kind of candle you want to see, right? That's not a bullish candle. So on the daily chart, right, this is culminating into higher lows. That's basically what we're looking at here. Higher lows, kind of like Bitcoin. Now, if you notice, Bitcoin recently had that attempted breakout, right? And it failed. Look at all these failures. I mean, AVAX looks very similar. They have all these little pullbacks in them, which again tells me one thing. These things don't really go on their own. Occasionally, when they do, it's because they're being hyped somewhere. It's the same story. Now, you have the potential higher low developing in Solana. All right, so you have that in your favor. Good location, potential higher low. This current candle is not supportive yet. All right, it looks similar to AVAX in a way. You want to see this candle needs to close. It's not an inside bar. It's a spinning top, but it can serve the same purpose. High of the candle needs to be taken out. That becomes your buy signal. Now, in these situations, putting the stop at the low is too tight. It's a small range candle. Chances are it will get stopped out. You need to give it more room. So the low here is 167.88. The low of that candle is 168. You probably should put the stop around like 165. Give it some room to play with, because the next candle can easily be like an outside bar, like this, before it reverses, right? And a lot of times that'll stop you out. It'll just tap you out and then reverse and go your way. So you have to help minimize getting tapped out on that noise. It really helps to put the stop a little out of that range, okay? But there has to be a point where you stop out and take the loss, because otherwise, if these things all break, they're all going to break at the same time, and you're going to see supports of like 150 come next, all right? And you don't want to get caught in that. Does that make sense? All right, so that's Solana. Okay, no problem, Farhat. Hey, go forth. Okay, yeah, I feel a little bit better. As you can see, I'm not coughing as much. Sushi. Okay, sushi. They couldn't come up with a better name. Sushi. It's like, what should we call our altcoin? I don't know, but I just ordered some sushi. That's a perfect name. We'll call it sushi. All right, I mean, pancake, sushi, I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's take a look. Let's go to the weekly chart. That's an interesting move. All right, I'll give it that. It's an interesting move off of this low. You have a failed low off of, this is interesting. I'm sure there's some hype involved in that. Sure, there's some hype there. Let's look at the weekly, let's look at the daily chart. Now, after such a move, buying this now would not be a good idea. All right, look where you're going. You're going into all this resistance. You have all these potential resistance levels that it's now beginning to test. If anything, this is a good place to start getting out of sushi, okay? Selling it, locking in profits if you got it from a lower area, okay? If you manage to get some there. A lot of times, who buys sushi when it looks like this over here? You want to know who? Insiders, people that are in the chat room, people that know that they're going to have some kind of announcement soon, people that have inside information. That's who buy it there, not people that look at charts. Because, at the time, you could have argued that you had the higher low, all that. You could have argued that here after the fact. There's no way to know that you're going to get a pronounced move like this, right? There's no way to know you're going to get like momentum follow through. A chart is not going to show you that in advance. There's nothing that will tell you that. So all we know is it's there now, and you don't want to be chasing it and letting these people out who bought it at much lower prices. You don't want to be letting them out, because all you're doing is taking the risk off their hands. So I would leave this alone. If you want to get involved in something like this for a long, wait for a support level, okay? And your supports right now, you have support there, right? That would be like your next support, which is, what price is that? 840, 846, 850, around 850. This thing is right now 1027. So a good $2 pullback. Okay, that would be your first level of support, at least, if you were going to do something with this thing. Waiting for this thing to confirm and all that stuff. That's really the wiser thing to do. Certainly don't chase this, because all you're doing, like I said, is letting the early people that bought this thing, you're letting them out and doing them a favor. Okay, so thank you for bringing this one up. Certainly a good one for the radar, because it's a nice, decent move. But let's see if that move can follow through. If that's all hype, by the way, if that's pure hype, then what you're likely going to see next is, something like this where it gives it all back. As you can see, it's happened a number of times previously. So that's like with this game, these things are total musical chair games, right? Once that music stops, the party's over. So that's why after they made their move, just put them on for entertainment only, right? That's it, because you missed it. Okay, sand. Are these those Facebook stock, those Facebook coins? I think they are, right? Same type. Well, it's not the same type of move. Okay. So something like this. Remember all that nonsense with Facebook, right? And now look, right? Lower high. So you have this initial push. You have this initial move right here. Okay, you have that possible high or low, but let's see. Where's the support on this thing? It's in a support area. All right, we'll give it that. There's some support right here. So if this current candle it's a spinning top. The high of the candle needs to be taken out, right? You have yourself a buy signal. Your stop is going to have to go below 550. Your stop will have to go below there somewhere. Now, these are tricky because they're possibly consolidating, all right? The reason why I say that is because the hype is pretty much out of the system. A lot of hype is out of the system. These are pure hype coins. And if the space does not follow through, all right, let's take a look at total real quick, right? Total market cap. If this does not follow through, all of these coins, as good as they look in all these buy setups, don't mean a thing, okay? If this does not follow through and total starts breaking these supports here, then the party's over, okay, is what that means. And that may be very possible in a rising rate environment, which the Fed may start in the next few months, right? So watch out for that. Keep an eye on this. Once the support breaks, I would stay away from these altcoins. I would just stay away from them until this Fed signals some other kind of environment. All right. I don't think the Fed is going to go from rising rate to back to free money stimulus. I don't think they're going to do that anytime soon. So we're only facing pressure here. We're only facing lack of potential. Maybe these things will thrive somehow. Maybe if some other catalyst comes along, but until that's there, I would have very little faith in these things. Okay. Because, I mean, look at this chart. It's trying, but if it breaks, then that means you're going to see money flowing out of the entire space. So all these buy signals in Solana and AVAX and Pancake and nonsense, they're all going to do the same thing. So don't get sucked into all of them. It's all one big Bitcoin trade, like I said earlier. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Peter, if took BTC rise from 20, okay, let me read this here. From 20s to 69K, about 18 weeks. So how can someone believe 200s will be reached anytime soon? I would say a lot of people are dreamers. Peter, that is a good point. And yes, people are dreamers because they believe in something called hope. Okay, hope is all around us all the time, and especially in the financial space. Okay, financial, political, all kinds. I mean, there's all these messages of hope, hope, hope. But hope is not a strategy, and hope can cost you a lot of money if you have a lot of money at stake. So you have to understand this game from a probability perspective, you also have to understand the game from a business perspective, because the only people that are guaranteed to make money in this game are the people like market makers, people like vendors, people like exchanges, people that make money off the retail trader. That is who gets rich in these situations, and they don't take the same magnitude of risk. They're not taking directional risk. Do you think an exchange is taking any kind of directional risk? You know what they do? Here, we're going to invent our own coin, and we're going to make $1 billion because our dumb clients are going to buy these dumb coins that we made. Oh, Binance coin. Oh, they're geniuses, right? And everyone bought the stupid Binance coin. And the Binance coin is like, what, $500 a coin or something? I mean, you know who made billions of dollars in that are the guys that invented Binance coin. Okay, same with Bitfinex. Okay, they've basically reinvented. Bitfinex is like the U.S. government that's not on the U.S. I mean, they can inflate money all they have the license to print money just like the U.S. government does, except they don't have no Chairman Powell, overseeing everything. They have a bunch of. If you ever look up the characters who run Bitfinex and Tether, I mean, if you just look, that's information on the internet. If you just look up their backgrounds, it becomes a very scary idea, okay, that Tether is so tied into this system. I'm not going to get into that whole rant right now, but my point is, that's who gets rich in these things, not people who speculate or invest. Because the investing part of this, in these altcoins, is really the same as investing in a slot machine. It's the same thing. Okay, so you need to understand. And we laugh. Who invests in slot machines? People with gambling problems do, because they believe that maybe this time they haven't won, but their friend won, or they know someone else that won a jackpot. So there's still a chance that you're going to win if you go to the casino and play that slot machine. So today you put $1,000 in it, and you got maybe $300 back. All right, you got something back, right? So it's the same deal, okay? Understand that about this space. I know I sound discouraging. I don't want to discourage, investing in these things, but understand, have the perspective. Like Peter said, most people are dreamers. Yes, it's true. It's what keeps this business going. Dreams. Look at some of these gurus that sell like day trading education. How do they sell? How do they sell day trading education? Do they show a guy in front of a computer like the reality of day trading? Do they show a guy miserable in front of a computer, not making any money, having his wife's yelling at him because he's losing all of their savings, and can't afford the car payment now, and not sure how he's going to pay for the house? They don't show any of that, do they? They don't show any of that. Not sure how he's going to pay for the groceries now. Just spent his kids' college tuition and on this day trading thing. It's not working. They don't show any of that. What do they show? My mega mansion with 2 Lamborghinis I just bought. I just bought them yesterday. Oh, my beautiful wife, and I have 20 kids, and what else? And look at that beautiful pool that we got, and we do this and we do that, and right, that's what they always show. Notice? They always show that. They always show the successful, I don't have anything to worry about. I'm a bazillionaire. All I have to do is sit in front of my computer for 30 minutes with this magical day trade strategy, and I make $1 million a day. I make $1 million a day, and you can too, if you just pay me $1,000 right now. Okay, that is notice. So the reason why I bring that up is because that's the dream that everyone buys into. Don't buy into that. Okay, that's very, very common in the altcoin space. Like I said 2 months ago, there were tons of videos, going to be millionaires, everyone's going to be a billionaire, blah, blah, blah. You should run when you see those, because it's the opposite is true. I remember back then, there were billboards, physical billboards in my town saying, buy Bitcoin, okay? Buy Bitcoin, billboards. And I remember if that's not the sign of a top, I don't know what is. And that was when Bitcoin was around those highs, right? 65K to 69K. What a coincidence. But that's typical, right? When things look their best, that's usually the worst time to get in. When things look their best, that's when you should be getting out, of your investment that you made when things didn't look so good. Okay? So yeah, that's my rant, Peter, about people dreaming. That's what drives that. That's what makes vendors rich. Okay, Elizabeth, we can help with your tube titles. Forget gimmicks and screw hope because Bitcoin now now with more remain. I like see Elizabeth knows. I like that. It's a good title. I don't know how many views that's going to get me, but I like the title. I would click on that. Thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate the help. Okay, Janet, could you share your plans for next year? Potential. Oh, yeah. All right, Janet, good question. Sure. So I have something I've been working on. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I have something. I was hoping to have it complete, but again, I'm the only one working on it. So it's been a very long and very tedious process. But I have something that in the form of a program that I will be releasing soon. And of course, you all will be the first to hear about it. I'm not going to send out an email. I'm not going to do all that. I'm going to announce it here first. Okay, so you'll all at least get to hear about it. But I do. That's like my main thing that I have coming out. And again, it's geared for beginners and it's geared for people that want to have a better grasp of the context of a market. Now, one thing it is not a specific strategy because there are no strategies that give you any type of advantage. So what I try to do is basically, just like in my streams here, take the techniques that I use, and the techniques are the same as the ones in my ebook, all right? There's no secret there. But what I've done is I've got into a lot more detail on them. And also another key point about the offering is it's what do you call it? Assignment driven, meaning there are assignments that are associated with it. And if you don't do the assignments, you'll get nothing out of it. Anyone can make videos, okay? And it's not like a leisurely, like, oh yeah, here's 50 videos. You watch them at your own leisure and excuse me, and you get to learn things. No. It's boot camp style. So you have a limited time to get the work done. And in order to get the most out of the thing, you got to get the work done and you got to submit the assignments. And there's a purpose. The reason why I set it up that way is so that the information sticks. But also there's no fluff, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and explain to you the history of the stock market because no one cares, number one. And number two, knowing the history of the stock market is not going to get you any closer to making profitable trades at all. So it's no fluff, okay, which goes against the grain of a lot of the junk that's out there. So we'll see how that goes. But that's my main plan that I have, and then of course I have some other ideas that I'm going to be doing to improve this stream. I've been working on these ideas for a while. It's just not something I can just flip a switch and be like, okay, here it is. There's a lot of detail and a lot of planning that goes into it. And a lot of this I have to do myself. So, that's what I have in the works. So I would say over the next month, you'll start to see some of those things. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Janet. Thanks for asking. But I think for people that are new, I think it will really help to separate you from the general consciousness or the general concept of how people think in markets. And at least if not, it's not going to give you any statistical advantage, but what it will do is give you context, just like this Bitcoin situation here. Most people do not understand that this is a high probability setup, right? And people don't understand what that is, what they're looking at. And I don't have any type of algo that can say to you, there's an 85% chance that this will work. I don't have anything that can do anything like that, right? I'm not a quant. I would love to talk to a quant about some of these things, but I am not a quant. So the idea is for you to be able to assess this information, the same information that I've assessed, and come to a similar conclusion and basically and arrive at the idea that this is where you take risk. Now, this is where you take risk once this thing meets the criteria, okay? Not up here. This is not a good place to take risk. Not up here, not when the candle is green and strong like this, right? That's all stuff that you're reacting to. So the goal of the program is to help you anticipate more and minimize reacting, and doing all of this in the context of some sort of scope of risk, right? That's the idea. Anyway, okay, so I hope that answers your question. That's it for my advertisement for today. All right, so do I have any other questions? I know someone asked a question the other day and I missed it. Sometimes I go through the stream here and I skip, I don't see the question. So if I missed your question, please ask it again. Otherwise, let's see, how am I doing with time? Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up here momentarily. Do I have any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions about any other coins or anything else? I know I had quite a few rants today. Again, I don't want to discourage people, but I do want people to understand the realistic nature of what we're doing here, of market timing, because there are so many lies out there. There's so much fake. I mean, I would have to say that 99% of YouTube is fake. I've come across the occasional presenter that has something of true value. And let me tell you, every time I come across someone that's actually real, or what they're saying actually has concrete value, usually they have no views. Usually the numbers are very low. The videos are usually very boring. They're usually not about anything anyone wants to hear. And I'm like, wow, like this guy's talking about the reality of this and that, and no one wants to hear it. Okay, and that's the reality of things. The herd wants to be lied to. Stop being that person. Stop being part of the herd. Stop getting sucked into the greed. Stop trying to do this. It sounds strange, but stop chasing the money. Instead, control the risk. Okay, and then money comes as a byproduct of that. Control the risk. Okay, again, control the risk, because that is really what you should be doing. If you're more defensive, you're more likely to come out ahead. I found a big improvement in my own performance over time was when I started cutting out all the BS trades that I would take. Okay, trades that I'd react to, trades that I thought I saw something, trades that I had a hunch, all this nonsense. I basically just got rid of a lot of trades and spent more time waiting. I wasn't getting 100%, any type of 100% win rate or anything like that, but it was because of the defensive nature of what I was doing. I was losing less, okay? Because everything in this game is basically set up for us to lose, not win. Understand that, okay? Understand the casino mentality, really. That will help you a lot. Okay, James. Okay, I think I missed, James, thanks for asking that question again. I thought I missed something. Okay, so if I take a short in Forex, is it a good idea to invert the scale and apply your rules for taking longs? Okay, James, that's a good question. But short in Forex, but what Forex pair? Because you can go long and short depending on the pair. So maybe you can mention a specific pair. But as far as my rules go, I use the same rules. If I'm looking at any Forex pairs, the same rules apply. I'm looking for structures. I'm looking for levels. I usually stick to major currency pairs because I'm basically trading against the dollar, basically. So I'm looking at euro, I'm looking at pound, I'm looking at Aussie, and I'm looking basically how I'm dealing against the dollar. Sometimes dollar franc, and that's it. Okay, that's why Forex there has not been a lot to do in that area, unless you're looking at CFDs too, like gold, oil. Oil has been interesting. Elizabeth, how do you feel about okay, hold on. How do you feel about the is that a serious question, Elizabeth? I hope you're joking. How do I feel about the analysts on TradingView? Okay, I've had lots of rants about them. I feel that most of them, first of all, are inexperienced. Based on when I see charts full of oscillators, I know right off the bat that they've probably been in this game a year or two, maybe 3 years. And to them, that's like being a veteran or something. And they don't realize that either they're fooling themselves or they know that it's all nonsense anyway. They're just looking for a following. So they put charts with a lot of stuff on them. Complex charts are interesting, and people who have no idea what they're doing think that there's some value in looking at a picture with lots of stuff on it. Okay? More is not better in this game. So I find that a lot of the analysts over there, they rely on that game, and they're playing like the same game that they're playing on YouTube, where they're trying to get everyone's attention. Whenever I put an article out, you get the same group. They all have to put their charts on my analysis because they're all trying to steal my traffic or whatever, because that's how you game the system over there, okay? And I guess the more views you get, you can drive them to your links or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And that's the game they're playing. So I don't believe that any real analyst, you can tell if someone, at least I can tell, if someone knows what they're doing. Usually their charts tend to be simple, and they tend to be very realistic in their assessment. Okay? Look, you have to understand, I'm a chartered market technician. That's a professional designation that I had to spend 3 years getting. Okay? And having that designation requires certain things. It requires that you have worked in the industry a certain number of years. It also requires that you get sponsored by another member. And you also have to basically prove that you have a working knowledge of this information. On top of all that, you are bound by a code of ethics, okay, as a chartered market technician. So I can't come out and say, Bitcoin is going to $1 million tomorrow. I can't say that, because if I say it, someone could say, oh, that's a clear exaggeration. And they can go report me to the Market Technicians Association. But you can't say that. That's clearly exaggerating. And that's outside the scope of our code of ethics. So even if I wanted to lie to you and exaggerate, theoretically I can't, right? Because I have a code of ethics that I must adhere to. A lot of these guys, they're not chartered market technicians. They can say whatever they want. There's no regulation in the analyst space. It's just a matter of how well they can fool you, right? So I notice that a lot of these people use very complex charts with all kinds of fancy stuff on them. And then they point out to all these coincidences. Like, oh, look, this back here, it looked like this over here, and look, it's doing it again. And it's a coincidence. I saw someone in our chat room, I'm not going to mention any names, but they brought up an analysis that I spotted on YouTube, a seasonal analysis about Bitcoin that I spotted on YouTube over a month ago. And I was complaining about that because it was the comparison was comparing apples to oranges. Basically, the comparison was, Bitcoin today we can make the same assumptions as Bitcoin from 2015. No, you cannot. Because in 2015, Bitcoin was pure retail. And that has an effect on certain things. So you can't compare those years the way they were comparing them. And here it was, Bitcoin is this because of, you believe this nonsense? So that's what I mean. Most people, they tell a good story, right? And that's what you'll find mostly in this game is very entertaining information and statistical. It appears statistical, it appears to be plausible, but it's just entertainment, okay? That's all it is. And of course, it's the market, so I could be wrong. Of course it could be wrong, because you have a 50-50 chance of being right, okay? Anyway, all right, what else we got here? That's my rant on that. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Elizabeth. Peter, would you help me a lot with my point of view? Okay, I appreciate that. Okay. Well, yeah, Peter, it's true. I mean, people come into this with preconceived notions. You have to understand, all of the market information that you've gathered over the years from mainstream sources has shaped the way you think of markets going forward. Okay? And it's all wrong. So, but they don't care, right? It's not like they care if you lose money or not. Their goal is to get attention and to monetize that attention. They don't care what the consequences are. They say, well, it's your responsibility. Well, we told you it was risky. Right. Thanks for getting me into Cardano. Okay, anyway, let's see what else we got here. Gotham, finding you, and from there's Okay, hold on. Let me read that. Finding your ideas, and from there, their sessions have been one of the high points. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience. Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too, Gotham. Excuse me. Yeah, Gotham has always been very generous with the what do you call it? With the trading view coins and all that stuff. You know, when it came to renewing my thing, I couldn't use the trading view coins to renew my membership on trading. Could you believe that? To take advantage of their holiday sale, you couldn't use the coins. Like, man, what scam they came up with those coins. All right, anyway, that's my trading view rant. Anyway, Gotham, I still appreciate the coins, though. It was a nice gesture. Thank you for the nice comment, too. Elizabeth, okay, I was serious. I followed 3 and just... Oh, look, I think they've screwed me a bit here and there. Okay, well, look, just understand any public forum, whether it's TradingView, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, I mean, TikTok. I hope you don't follow anyone on TikTok. It's a cesspool, right? The internet has created a cesspool of ideas, and it's very hard to sift through all that. So that's why I tell people, learn to listen to the price, learn to interpret the price so that it's your relationship with the price, not a person, not someone that has an agenda to lie to you or to push you to some affiliate links or to get views so that they can beat the algorithm game on YouTube, right? That's what people do. But price is just price, and it's just going to do what the order flow makes it do. So that's why I tell people, learn to listen to price, not people. Even me, don't listen to me. Listen to the price. What I do here on these streams is I interpret the price. And I tell you, based on what the price says, what I think is likely to unfold next and what your risk looks like and what your potential rewards look like based on what the price is telling us now relative to where it's been recently. Does that all make sense? Okay. So thank you. Okay, Gotham, there's something you don't hear every day. I have a code of ethics chart. Most of these guys yelling, hey, come look at my chart. Right. Well, it's true, though. I mean, I'm not lying. I do have a code of ethics that I have to follow as a chartered market technician. If I'm not going to follow that code of ethics, then I can't use CMT after my name. Okay? So, and they're on top of that stuff. I mean, if you don't pay, there's a fee I have to pay every year to maintain those 3 letters. And if you don't pay the fee, would you believe they have people that watch you? And if you don't pay the fee, you get a letter. You better stop using our letters unless you pay the fee. So that's how it is, right? And they're very strong about those code of ethics. You know why? Because they don't want these YouTubers types or these TikTok types ruining their organization and ruining the reputation of their organization. That's why. They want, when they think of a CMT, they want people to have a good impression of a market professional, not some 15-year-old YouTuber telling you that you're going to be a billionaire next month. I mean, they don't want that. It'll ruin their whole image. That makes sense? So people don't understand what that is about a CMT and why having a CMT. I thought, mistakenly, coming into this game, you know, as a YouTuber and this and that, I thought that the CMT would actually be an asset and help separate me from competition. Boy, was I wrong. I don't need the CMT, right? If I wanted to be whatever. I see guys that have started YouTube channels that have like 250,000 followers now, and they have no idea what they're talking about, but they tell a good story. They didn't have to get a CMT. All they have to do is talk about charts really well and show, oh, look, I'm going to show you this oscillator, and I'm going to show you why it works sometimes. Oh, thanks, right? Yeah, okay, that guy's doing 1,000 times better than me on YouTube, but I have all the knowledge. Great. That just shows how irrational this whole game is. Okay, so using logic, which was my mistake, thinking, oh, I have experience, I have professional designation, I've worked in the industry, no one cares. Okay, so thanks for mentioning that. All right, screen. Do you put any value in trend lines? Joe, all right, I'm going to answer that question, and I'm going to wrap this up. Do I put any value in trend lines? Horizontal trend lines, but not, I mean, your standard trend line, like if you draw a trend line from here and you connect and whatever, I think there can be some value to them because they do potentially show an inflection point in the future if the trend line is respected. But I use them on the horizontal, right? That's why you see these horizontal lines on my charts. You don't see vertical. I'm not sorry. You don't see the regular trend lines because a moving average can basically serve the same purpose. Trend lines can be very confusing, and I'm really more interested, instead of having a bias, like if I drew a line from this point here and I connect this line, right, then it would intersect over here somewhere, right? There'd be a trend line intersection over here somewhere. And that may cause some kind of bias for me, right? Even though I wouldn't have bought here anyway, some people, oh, it's breaking the trend line. Oh, I'm going to buy it, and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, while it broke that trend line, eventually it got respected because it sold off. So I don't like to get mixed up like that, and I have found trend lines to confuse me in that way. So I use horizontal trend lines to basically notate support and resistance levels relative to reactions previously, right? Historical, meaning going back in time here and saying, oh, look, previous support here, there's likely to be support there in the future, right? See that? I didn't need a regular trend line to tell me that. I could have at least known that this location was somewhat probable where, buying can step in. And I talked about it when we sold off to that, right? And there were some people like in our chat room and stuff that actually had limit orders in that area and actually got filled. They got long in that area, because they were anticipating support, right? It's a risky thing to do when you do it that way, but it worked out for a lot of them that stepped in that way, right? It's aggressive, but like I said, it's, they weren't selling there, they were buying. And they were buying because it was a notable support area, right? Does that make sense? So that's how I use trend lines. Okay, Elizabeth, 10 steps to a juicy relationship with Bitcoin price action. Do this. 10 steps to a juicy relationship with Bitcoin. Ah, that's interesting. Yeah, that might be a good title. I see Elizabeth's working on my titles for me. Great. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll definitely be working on that and my formatting and stuff. So thank you. Okay. Oh no, not this guy again. Can you believe this? I just gave a whole speech on novice spamming. Do I have to give it again? I'm not going to give it again. H guy, whatever your name is. Go back into my thing earlier. Who spams my stream? You have to be a beginner spammer. There are fake gurus with 5,000 listeners out there. Go spam one of them, please, because people here, for one, are more informed. They're not going to click on your Russian porn link, okay? They're not going to do it, number one. You need to go somewhere where there's thousands of live stream listeners, not here. So go somewhere else, please. And I got to teach spammers how to spam. Can you believe that? All right, anyway. All right, so let me erase that. Come on. Russian porn spam. Yeah, go somewhere else. Man, they're spamming me. They seriously must be beginners. Because, I'll spam the guy with 30 listeners, but that other guy with 5,000, yeah, I'm not going to spam that guy. Because, I don't know, there's just too many people over there. Why would I spam that guy? Anyway, all right, people. So thank you very much. I'm going to wrap this up now. Thank you all for spending some time. Hey, thank you. These are all my regulars from the whole year. Thank you for spending each day with me. During the year, it's been a wild year, and I hope that I've helped people improve their perspective. That's the whole point of these streams. And I do have improvements coming, so please just be patient for that and stick it out, and you'll see what I have. But again, I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the people who bought my ebook and all that other stuff. Okay, so again, I want to thank you all, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for spending your time with me. Enjoy your holiday. Enjoy your new year. Have a happy and safe one, all of you. And, we'll do this. Oh, it just came for the rant. Oh, plenty of rants. Plenty of rants in this one, Dave, if you go back. Tons of them in this stream. All right, so again, thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the day or the rest of the evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much for watching. We'll catch up back to you on Monday. Enjoy and have a happy new year. Thanks for watching.